Welcome, Central Indiana sports fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for my new podcast, Greg and His Friends Talk Sports. I'm your host, Greg Mengel, and every weekday afternoon, my friends and I are talking about whatever Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. And coming up today, Tuesday, March 24, 2026, the Pacers snapped their 16-game losing streak in Orlando behind Pascal Siakim's career night and a late block shot. Mike Rich joins me to discuss that. Notre Dame's women got a big win over Ohio State. My friend Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader will be here to talk about another huge night from Hannah Hidalgo and talk about the women's tournament in general. Marian's women are in the NAIA National Championship tonight. And my friends Jake Dunn and Mike Rich join me to discuss Purdue in the Sweet 16 for this week's Purdue Report, and I got a clip of that for you. Our Purdue Report is coming out later today, a little bit early this week with the Sweet 16 on Thursday. It'll probably be this evening, no later than midnight. Tomorrow, we will have a Sweet 16 preview for you and our Major League Baseball preview and seasons predictions podcast with Paul Tipton and Will Rutherford. Also join us for our IndyCar Report with Elijah Poe, previewing Alabama. That's coming up on Thursday. And I'm working on getting Colts and Fever reports out to you very soon. And if you come back tomorrow, we will do it all again. Your Indiana Pacers are on a one-game winning streak after ending their 16-game losing streak Monday night with a 128-126 win in Orlando. Pascal Siakim had a career night with 37 points and blocked Paolo Banchero shot in the final seconds to preserve the win. Jarris Walker finished with 20 points, Aaron Nesmith had 19, and Andrew Nembhard finished with 13 points and 14 assists. And here's my friend Mike Rich to discuss it.
Well, Mike, we got a reminder tonight of just how good Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and Aaron Nesmith are.
Just what you expect of these guys, and the future's looking brighter and brighter. And 1-16 in the last 17 games. About time they get a win, and they're definitely good enough to win in this league. And they got the core players to do it with. And hell, I thought Jarris Walker had a hell of a game tonight too. I thought,
he did.
He played really well starting this evening, and McConnell had a good game.
I agree with all that. The important thing, though, is that Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and Aaron Nesmith are going to be a core of what they do next year, and those three guys are going to be starters unless something weird happens and they draft someone who can somehow replace one of them, which doesn't seem possible. But
I agree, but I mean Peterson's looking phenomenal. I mean, that kid is good. Where would you put him if he's the number one pick?
he'd be coming off the bench for the first year at least, I'm sure.
I don't know. Kid's good.
He's not better than Andrew Nembhard right now.
He's going to be.
Oh, for sure. But not right now. Well, Mike, have a 3.5 game cushion on the Kings coming into this game, so we feel pretty good about the win. They still have 3 games in hand on the Kings, so here's the thing, Mike. And even if they beat the Lakers and Clippers back-to-back, Mike, this franchise seems committed to this tanking. If they have to have the last 8 games call up you and me, they're going to do it to lose those last games and get the best odds possible to get that.
I'm signing up for that. I'm sitting there thinking, they're going to make changes. They're going to after this year. So we're already in this position. Don't lose it.
Right.
The changes are going to come. The NBA is going to make it more difficult for teams to tank, and they're going to look for less incentives for this. But this is the last year, I think, that's really going to have the true incentive. And this season started out horrible. The middle of the season has been horrible. The end of the season is not going to be great either. I don't want to be in a position where that 3.5 game cushion even comes close. We've been in it this entire year in this place, and I just don't want to see. I don't want to be disappointed.
And now less than 50 days away from May 10th, Mike.
I'm excited.
Can't wait for the season to end.
10 more games. 10 more games.
That's horrible.
It is. Just looking forward to the 26-27 season. Let's just say that. Next 3 games are all at home. Wednesday against the Lakers, Friday against the Clippers. I know Mike will be at both of those. And Sunday against the Heat. Marian's women will play for the NAIA National Championship tonight against number 1 Dort, Iowa, after beating Dakota Wesleyan 62-54 in the national semifinal Monday night in Sioux City, Iowa. The Knights held Dakota Wesleyan to 32.7% shooting and forced 19 turnovers in the win. Dort beat Dakota State 83-69 in the first semifinal on Monday night. The men's championship is also tonight, and that is Freed-Hardman, Tennessee against Langston, Oklahoma. Another big win for Hannah Hidalgo and the Fighting Irish, an 83-73 win over host Ohio State Monday afternoon that moves Notre Dame into the Sweet 16 in Fort Worth, Texas. Hannah Hidalgo finished the game with 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 steals. For the record, through 2 games of the tournament, that's 49 points, 22 rebounds, and 16 steals. Notre Dame will play number 2 seed Vanderbilt at 2:30 on Friday, ahead of number 1 UConn against Carolina in the same region. UConn beat former conference rival Syracuse 98-45. They led 53-8 in the first half after a 31-0 run. Oof. Also Monday, Virginia beat Iowa 83-75. Louisville and Kentucky both earned 1-point wins, and number 1 seeds UCLA and South Carolina seem to be headed for a championship showdown. Both won easily on Monday. And here's my friend Michelle Garmon with her thoughts on the Notre Dame win and the tournament as a whole.
Michelle Hannah Hidalgo again, 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 steals. She is insane.
Yes, she is. And Greg, she kind of had a little bit of foul difficulty today too in her game, and it was fantastic. She may be one of the best guards. I'm not so sure she shouldn't be Player of the Year. I will say this: I think the All-America teams came out. I need to Google it. I know Krzyzewski got all honorable mentions, some others, but I think if I was taking the 2 best guards from college teams that I want Hannah Hidalgo and AZ Fudd from
That's
UConn.
right. That's right.
And then my 3rd guard could be Olivia Miles, because she was fantastic for TCU.
You know what, Michelle?
Schooled tonight by South Carolina, but
If I'm the Fever, I really want Hannah Hidalgo.
yeah,
Can you imagine that?
she's the only thing that could possibly be a downfall for her at the next level that she could have to overcome a little bit is her size.
She'll
Right
figure it
now,
out.
she's smart. She's super quick. Her defense is what's so amazing. The way she
It
just comes up, and it's like she's got, like, I want to say, magician's hands. That sleight of hand is just incredible. She's a very exciting player to watch. I believe that UConn and Notre Dame are in the same region.
Yep. So Vanderbilt is next, and they definitely have a chance to win that one. But unfortunately, UConn is just better than everybody.
Yeah, I believe so. But I think it would be a fun matchup to watch Hannah Hidalgo and AZ Fudd go at it after each other. To see what I think are, to see who I think are the 2 best guards in college basketball right now.
Oh, hold on. And down on the other side of the bracket, we probably don't expect it, but my neck of the woods could get a Louisville, Kentucky Elite 8 game.
Yes, it was a nice win for Kentucky today, and it was a nice win for Louisville. I'm telling you what, that Louisville game they looked to have it well in hand with under a minute to go, and only ended up winning by 1, but Alabama just did not quit and made some shots.
While Texas and Michigan looked dominant.
Yes, they did that. Of course, those games were yesterday. So I kind of hate it. The best games, I think, were this afternoon when people aren't watching because they're working. And TV, the ESPN needs to do better. I know they sit there and think, well, UConn and South Carolina, everyone wants to watch them. But to grow the women's game, you need to put the best matchups on later at night. And that would have been your Louisville, Alabama, and your West Virginia.
UConn game was just a joke from the start. And they're going to be.
Yes.
Except for maybe if they get to the Final Four, the championship game, maybe they can be contested a little bit. But I don't even think Notre Dame has a shot of playing anywhere close to them.
Well, I will say this. I think Texas keeps looking better and better. And they're finding other players to contribute other than Booker, which that's key for them. Because I thought last year that was kind of what hurt them a little bit once we reached the Final Four, is they just didn't have anybody step up. So I think last year, other than Booker, and I think she was in foul trouble. So I think maybe last year's experience will pay off for Texas a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely think UConn is going to the Final Four. South Carolina is going to the Final Four. I think, unless it's Texas. I do think with the women, I should say, the top 4 seeds will probably be the ones in the Final Four.
Probably. I'd be
UCLA.
surprised if they're not.
Yeah, UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas, because I do believe they are the 4 best teams. I talk about Hannah Hidalgo and the supporting cast is stepping up a little bit. They're not quite as experienced, but Lauren Betts has players around her. Heck, Lauren Betts' sister is coming on really well off the bench here once postseason hit, the Big Ten tournament, and then again in this tournament, and they have other players to go with her. The thing that hurts UCLA, and I think hurt them last year in the Final Four and will hurt them again this year, is just a lack of consistent three-point shooting. I think that you have to have that. You have to be able to knock down threes if you're going to have a shot against UConn.
The tournament picks up again Friday with 4 regional semifinals in Fort Worth and Sacramento, starting with Notre Dame Vanderbilt at 2:30. CJ Cox confirmed Monday that he's fine after twisting his knee during Purdue's 79-69 win over Texas Sunday in St. Louis. Nothing official has been announced by the team, but we expect him to be a full go. That's really good news. The Boilermakers face 11-seed Texas at 7 Thursday in San Jose, California, in the first regional semifinal, 7:10 on CBS. The Boilermakers are a 7.5-point favorite, and according to ESPN Analytics, has a 75.5% chance of advancing to the Elite Eight for the 3rd time in 7 years. In the same region at 9:45 Thursday night, it's top seed Arizona against John Calipari's Arkansas Razorbacks. The winner of the 2 games will play for the regional championship and a spot in the Final Four on Saturday. And of course, the Final Four this year in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. I was joined by our Purdue guy, Jake Dunn, and our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, who is also a Purdue fan, for this week's Purdue Report, which we will release later tonight. We hadn't heard from Mike since the Boilermakers win over Miami on Sunday, so I asked him if they're playing well enough to reach another Final Four.
I think they're going to make the Final Four. I think it's going to be Purdue, and I think Arkansas is going to beat Arizona this weekend, and it's going to be Arkansas and Purdue in the Elite Eight, and I think Purdue can come out of it. They did exactly what they've been built to do. I think this is what this team's made for. They're made for the tournament play. They proved it in the Big Ten tournament, and I think they're just carrying that momentum. I think the way they beat Queens was not a bad team offensively, and to hold them to 71 and score over 100, and then to beat Miami the way they beat Miami, like you said, it was a little struggle in the beginning, but second half did what they needed to do, and I think they're going to do the same thing against Texas. They say there's no Cinderellas in this Sweet 16, and Texas being an SEC team, but they're a mediocre SEC team. I think they were 9-9 in their conference, and so I think Purdue will match up well against them, and I think they'll be able to get into the Elite Eight, and like I said, hopefully they're making it to the Final Four again. And then it's going to be a toss-up if they get there.
Jake, it would be the third time in 9 years that they would go to the Elite Eight if they win this game, but this round has been a nightmare for Purdue over the years.
It has. Thinking back to 2019 when they made that run with Carson Edwards, last second tip in from Diabate from Virginia to tie the game, send it into overtime, and Purdue would ultimately lose in the Elite Eight there in Louisville. They would have advanced to the Final Four in Minneapolis if they would have won. So that was the first Elite Eight under Matt Painter, and then obviously the 2024 title game run was the second time. So yeah, Purdue is certainly had its demons in March, but Matt Painter has since made it to a national championship, and I think that monkey is kind of off his back. So excited to see this matchup here against Texas, especially since we've got a familiar face here in Cam Heide on the team. So that'd be great to see him, and that should be a good story here for that matchup.
Here's the thing. 7 times since 2009 they've lost in this round, including last year. I was at your house and we watched them lose to Houston, but I don't think any of us were disappointed in that game. I actually thought we felt pretty good coming out of that game that this would be a really good year for Purdue. The one that brings me back was a year that I assumed that Purdue was going to beat Kansas State, Mike, 1988. Only sporting event that ever made me cry.
Made you cry.
16 loss to Kansas State after Purdue had beaten them by 30 points in the regular season.
Right.
You remember that one?
I do. And that's the thing. We've had our hearts broken way too much, and I just think that Purdue's coming into the tournament under the radar. I would have been more scared if they would have been the number 1 seed in the tournament, and I think there's a little bit less pressure on them, and I think they'll overperform that 2 seed. And I think having a week to prepare for Texas, I think they're going to be all right against Texas. And then
I'm worried about Texas. It's just kind of makes me nervous.
Arizona is tough, and I'm hoping Arkansas can beat them. And that's
really the best hope.
That's the best hope. And Purdue's going to need some luck and some things to go their way to get to the Final Four. But I think they have a really good shot at it this year. Why not? We've been disappointed, so why not be really surprised? We're due, Greg. We're due.
I wouldn't say it would be a surprise, Jake, if they came through this and won it, but I'm just not sure that matchup with Arizona is one that we will like very much.
You look at kind of the path here for Purdue. Obviously, going up against Queens, Purdue was just overwhelmed them physically in a skill level, but Miami, Texas, and really both Arkansas and Arizona, they both have really athletic and really long guards and even forwards too that make it tough to kind of get downhill, and they use their size to their advantage. Regardless of who Purdue plays, in this game or going forward, it's going to be a tough matchup as you progress through the tournament. The teams get better and better. The bodies get bigger and stronger and faster. So it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. I think from an athleticism standpoint, but there's still not a trio I'd rather have leading this team and Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Renn. So I'm glad they're getting some experience here early in the tournament against teams like Miami and Texas with that athleticism and length. And I think that'll suit them well for if they beat Texas in the Elite Eight, and if they advance beyond that, obviously it's only going to help them have that experience.
And the Major League Baseball season gets underway Wednesday with the Yankees against the Giants at 8 o'clock on ESPN. The Reds are 14-16 in spring training after Monday's 9-1 loss to the Brewers in Milwaukee. They start Thursday at home at 4 against the Red Sox. The Cubs have an identical record in the desert after beating the Yankees 15-6 in Mesa Monday. The Cubs start their season Tuesday at 2:20 at Wrigley Field against the Nationals. We'll be talking baseball all year long with Paul Tipton and Will Rutherford on the MLB Report, which starts tomorrow, and of course on this show as well. And we'll be talking about all of it, but our focus will be on the NL Central. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we'll take a deeper look at the Sweet 16, Purdue, Texas in particular, and we will also talk some baseball. Thanks so much for joining me and my friends. We'll be back tomorrow. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.